Nala Kadich, Wajak Murat, Kain Kardak, Nija Buja, we acknowledge Noongar people as the original custodians of this land. Good evening, councillors, staff, ladies and gentlemen. I invite you all to bow your heads in prayer. Almighty God, we ask you to guide us in all of our discussions, to show goodness, honesty, understanding and wisdom in all that we undertake for the city of Joondalup and our residents. May we respect each other's views at all times, and we ask all of this in your name. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated. I officially declare this council meeting open at midday, or 12 p.m. In accordance with the recording and live streaming of council meetings council policy, this meeting will be video recorded and live streamed on the city's website, with the exception of confidential items and periods of adjournment as decided by the presiding member. Cameras have been positioned in such a way as to avoid members of the public. However, by being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their image may be live streamed to the public. Recordings will also be made available on the city's website following the meeting, but the official meeting or the record of the meeting will be the written minutes kept in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and any regulations. Just bear with me for a second. I've just been informed we aren't actually able to live stream. There's a technical glitch, but it will be recorded and posted on the website tomorrow. Also with declaration of opening is announcement of visitors. Joining us here today is a freeman of the City of Joondalup, one of only 5, in Mr Mike Norman. As is the custom at the City of Joondalup, Mr Norman, as a freeman, is invited to join me at the seat which is reserved, if he so wishes. Mr Norman, do you wish to join me? Please come forward. Thank you. For the benefit of our students, freemen of the city, and there have been very few in our time, people who have for decades shaped this community which we now share, and people who we bestow this honour on to recognise their contribution. And Mr Norman is one such person. Next item of business is declarations of financial or proximity or impartiality interest. I've received a number of declarations and I'll work through these. Councillors, if there's any others, please advise me. First of all, a declaration from myself for item 12.10, the list of payments, is an interest that may affect impartiality as I work for Thompson Gear Lawyers. However, I do not work on City of Joondalup matters there. A declaration from Director Humphrey for item 13.2.1, the CEO recruitment and selection process. It is a financial interest as this may impact Director Humphrey's employment arrangements. A declaration from Director Humphrey also for item 12.9, corporate sponsorship application Bowls Australia. It's an interest that may affect impartiality as members of Warwick Bowling Club are known to Director Humphrey. A declaration from the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Hill. This is for item 13.4.1 and 14.1, interest that may affect impartiality on the status update for the project Axiom and the tender for this item. This interest is as Councillor Hill has and the Deputy Mayor has previously attended a cricket event at the invitation of HCL. Project Axiom was not discussed at this event. For Councillor Hamilton Prime, for item 12.9, corporate sponsorship application Bowls Australia. This is an interest that may affect impartiality as Councillor Hamilton Prime for members of the Sorrento Bowling Club are known to the councillor. Similarly for Councillor Fishwick, also for 12.9, interest that may affect impartiality as Councillor Fishwick is a member of Sorrento Bowling Club. Councillors, are there any other declarations of interest? Councillor Hamilton Prime.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. It was similar to the Deputy Mayor, my declaration regarding HCL. They had previously attended corporate events at their invitation.
Thank you. Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you. Through you. 12.9, similarly with impartiality due to knowing some members of the Sorrento Bowling Club, and in addition, a former member. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further declarations, councillors? If not, you'll see the next item on the agenda is deputations. This item was dealt with at the briefing session. Next item, therefore, is public question time. There's a set of procedures which relates to public question time, and I will request that you follow my direction at all times. You have the opportunity to ask 2 questions. Your question should be directed to myself as Chair and also asked in a polite and respectful manner. Please state your name and address for the public record before asking your question. In the case of students who are special guests today, please state your name and the school that you attend. We're not seeking your address for public questions. As is our practice, we maintain a register for those who wish to put their names down to ask a question, and I'll commence there and work my way through. So I'll also advise students to be called to the lectern. Please ask your question of the city and you'll receive a response. So first of all, to S. Mondal.
Hello, I'm Suresh Mondal from Wanneroo Secondary College. My first question is, how's the City of Joondalup Council working in partnership with local schools, communities, organisations and service providers to deliver inclusive and accessible programs that promote education wellbeing in our community?
Thank you, Mr. Mondal. Director Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you, and thank you for your question. The City has an active access and inclusion plan, which ensures that all City-run programs, facilities and events are accessible to people of all ages and abilities, including our youth development programs and initiatives. The City also leads the Northern Multicultural Network in partnership with the cities of Wanneroo and Stirling, which provides opportunities for schools, community organisations and service providers to share information, address local issues and strengthen inclusion. Thank you for your question.
And thank you.
Thank you. Second question.
And my second question is, what initiatives is the City of Joondalup currently undertaking and planning for the future to educate riders and enforce safety regulations for e-scooters, and especially in areas around schools and other public spaces?
Thank you, Director Lee. Director Lee? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you, and thank you again for the question. It's an interesting issue. The City have a limited ability and capacity for enforcement in relation to e-ridables, including e-scooters. The reason for this is that the safety regulations for e-ridables is a state and federal government responsibilities. However, saying that, we do look for opportunities to promote safe use principles for e-ridables, including training opportunities and circulating materials that's made available by the state government and other interested parties like the RAC. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mondal. Jay Nichols, also from Wanneroo Secondary College.
Hello, my name is Jasmine Nichols from Wanneroo Secondary College. Oh, sorry. I ask, what is the City of Joondalup doing to help students transfer from secondary education to tertiary education or further studies and training?
Thank you. Director Lee again.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the question. Our youth development team develops and delivers a series of programming targeted to 12 to 25-year-olds. We do this to help develop leadership, personal and professional development skills within that age bracket, along with developing skills to enhance opportunities for employment. We deliver these programs during school terms on weekday afternoons, as well as early evenings from our Anchors Youth Centre located in Heathridge. The nature and the subject of the programs change regularly, so we'd encourage anyone interested to follow our youth development team on social media. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nichols. A. Muller from North Metropolitan TAFE. Thank you. Just let If not, R. Nazari, also from North Metropolitan TAFE. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rihanna Nazari from North Metro TAFE. The question that I'm going to ask today is that what steps are being taken by council to involve young people in decision-making process? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is that one Ms. Macario?
Thank you for your question. So the City does a number of things to engage with youth to be participating in decision making. One of the key ways is that we have a strategic community reference group which has 2 youth members. We advertise that membership every 2 years and invite young people to nominate to be part of that group, and the group meets a number of times a year to discuss strategic issues that are then brought through to the council for decision making. So that's a key way that youth can be involved in decision making directly with our council.
Thank you so much.
I will just briefly add to that answer. That's a recent initiative from the city to have specific youth representatives, and we will be advertising for new representatives for that in the coming weeks and months. That's actually about to become vacant if anyone lives locally and has an interest. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
C. Bertossi.
Good afternoon, thank you. My name is Caden Batossi. I'm from St. Stephen's School. My question is, do you believe there are too many local governments in Western Australia and that they should be larger areas that cover a multiple number of areas?
Good question, and a very topical issue. The City of Joondalup doesn't have a formal position on that, probably more because that discussion doesn't tend to involve us as a council. We're the third largest local government in Western Australia at 170,000 residents. So while there are many local governments, I think at last count 139, the City of Joondalup and its two neighbours, being City of Wanneroo and City of Stirling, are together the largest three. So discussions around local government reform and amalgamation don't tend to have any focus on us because nobody's proposing to amalgamate us with our two neighbours, nor are we proposing to divide any of our councils. So we will all have individual views on that, and I do as well, but in speaking for the city, it's an issue for local government more broadly, but not so much in the Northern Corridor because we already have the three largest councils in WA.
Thank you.
Thank you. M. Lee, also from St. Stephen's.
Hi, I am Mia Lee from St. Stephen's School. And my question is, how is the council expanding opportunities for young people to participate in local government decision making, for example, youth advisory groups or junior council programs?
Thank you. Ms. Macario, and I might also go to Director Lee if he has anything to add on youth services and engagement more generally. Ms. Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your question. So each year the City holds an annual lunchtime council meeting that we're having today, and we invite school students from across the city to participate in that meeting, as well as the youth forum that is held just before this meeting. Students are invited to submit questions that we can answer and the council can answer at the meeting. We mentioned in the previous question that we do have a strategic community reference group. We don't have a youth advisory council as such, but we have two youth positions on our strategic community reference group that's able to have input into items that come through to the council. So that's a great way for youth to be involved in the decision making, not just with youth representatives, but from representatives right across the city. As our Mayor mentioned, that nomination process will be opening up soon, so we encourage youth across the city to put in a nomination to be one of those two members on that group. Director Lee might want to add to that.
No, I think that was a very good answer. Thank you, Ms. Macario. Thank you. Do you have a second question? Thank you. M. Day from West Coast Ed Support Centre. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matilda and I'm from West Coast Secondary Education Support Centre. And my question is, how is the City of Joondalup working to ensure that community health services, including mental health support, are accessible to students and their families?
Director Lee.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question. Our youth team work to support the promotion of headspace programming with attendance at weekly clinical case review meetings. We go also through shared social media programming posts and supported referrals as part of the Headspace Joondalup Consortium. Our youth team are also involved in networking and information sharing through the Joondalup and Wanneroo Youth Services Network, or JAWS network, and we do this to identify suitable services to ensure those attending the the city's youth programming are provided with effective and supportive referral avenues. Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. S. McMahon.
Hi, I'm Sophie McMahon from West Coast Secondary College, and I'm pretty sure this question was already asked, but we were given these questions before arriving, so I will still ask it anyway. What steps are being taken by the City of Joondalup to involve young people in the decision-making process affecting our local community, such as through youth council or advisory committees?
Director Lee.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you very much for the question. I think just to echo the information that Ms Macario has provided, I think the things that our local government does to encourage youth participation is primarily through our strategic community reference group and making available 2 positions specifically for youth to represent the youth voice, if you like, as part of decision making, and then also initiatives like today, holding our youth forum and then inviting students from surrounding schools to see the local government mechanics in action and see the decision making and how that unfolds, and hopefully piquing their interest and encouraging them to participate in local government, whether that's through community organisations or through actual representation on the local government itself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. L. Spedding from Ocean Reef Senior High School. Poppy Allen, also Ocean Reef Senior High School.
Hello, my name is Poppy Allen. My question is, when designing, creating or approving new parks, shopping areas or public infrastructure in general, do you consider all the ways that someone could get there, like by public transport, by car or on foot? And how do you balance the needs and convenience of all these groups without prioritising one or making it functionally inaccessible to others?
I'll go to Director Lee, but I have something to add to the end of that answer as well. Director Lee.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for the question. It certainly is a case that we try to take all our community stakeholders into consideration when we are planning for our communities. One of the projects that we do have underway at the moment is a review of our local planning strategy, and at a very high level, the local planning strategy sets out the land use plan for our local government area. Part of that means where we'd like to locate amenities for our community, so be that shopping centres, our parks, our medical facilities, and also where we'd locate our different housing types. As part of the considerations of where we choose to locate them, we do take into account all the different types of transport that's available. So we look at our train network that runs north-south through our local government area with about 6 train stations, I think, from memory. We look at our bus routes, we look at our footpaths and our cycle routes, and look to align transport options with land uses as well. In terms of how we ensure we provide opportunities for all our stakeholders, and as an example, through the local planning strategy, one of the key focuses of it is community engagement. So we've undertaken a number of steps of community engagement as we develop the strategy, and that's something we'd continue to do. And what we're really trying to do there is to encourage a very broad representation of our community, to provide input and to tell us what's important to them, and so we can take in everyone's needs as best we can.
Add a little something to this one, because it's actually an issue which is quite dear to my heart, and there's and I'll actually bring it down to a particular person who I know in our community who doesn't have limbs, was born that way, and has only recently reached the point where batteries with electric wheelchairs and technology through steering via iPhone and with their mouth has given them the full mobility that everybody else in our community enjoys. The city has upgraded a number of crossovers to a modern standard near where that person lives, so that the automated wheelchair can get over them where previous ones had a stricter angle. And this person now has freedom to take their dog for a walk along the coast, even to drive from their front door to the shopping centre, something most of us could just walk and do. Part of what we do to ensure access and inclusion, however, is parking enforcement. If you think about somebody in that in that scenario, who now, after decades, finally has the freedom that most enjoy and heads out of the front door on a footpath on a wheelchair. If somebody is parked across a footpath, they have no way of mounting the curb. They have no way of getting around. They literally have to go home and have lost a day. So actually, one of the things we do is we quite strictly enforce parking on footpaths. Most of you will be getting your driver's licence in the next year or two. We are quite strict about that because that is a very important access and inclusion consideration, because people who have access and inclusion needs need those footpaths, and if a car is blocking the footpath, they have no other option. So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's just been brought to my attention that there might be people taking photos in the gallery. I haven't seen that, but I really want to underscore that's not allowed at any time without the express permission of myself, and I'm certainly not giving it, particularly for a meeting which includes students. So please make sure that no photographs are taken, and if I do see that, I will respond accordingly. Our next question is Samantha Law.
Good morning, I'm Samantha Law from 16 Berkshire Drive in Belden. My question relates to 12.10 in the questions, and I wanted to ask for clarification around transparency transparency to ensure a known skill shortage doesn't stop public from accessing the jobs that have been sent through to a skilled so making sure that it hasn't been sent through to a recruitment agency instead of being advertised to community. If that makes sense, I can clarify. To make sure it is stated in there that when there's a known skill shortage, it goes to a recruitment agency. So what I wanted to make sure is when there's a known skill shortage, is there a job for a management position still put to community? Does it bypass that and go straight to a recruitment agency? If it does go straight to a recruitment agency, what are we doing to make sure that we address the skill shortage in the future to make sure that the children can apply for said management positions?
Just before I take that, Councillor, I just noticed that time expired. My apologies, I should have watched that before.
No, that's fine.
I just propose procedurally to extend by 10 minutes. Seconded, Deputy Mayor, by show of hands, those in favour. Declare that carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I just clarify, that question was under 12.10, which is the list of payments made during the month?
Yes, that's correct. So I was addressing the answer was that the recruitment agencies follow, I'll go back to the answer to get my correct
okay.
reading.
No. I've got that now. So,
Yep.
Sorry, it's a follow-up to the question on notice. Ms Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your question. So it's usual practice for us to utilise recruitment agencies for positions that are potentially hard to fill because of a shortage. Usually those positions have already been advertised and we've tried to recruit for them, but it's been unsuccessful. So then we would rely on a recruitment agency to assist us to fill those positions.
Okay, the second part of that
Yes.
question, if that's okay. So what are we doing as a city to make sure that we're addressing the skill shortage to ensure as a way moving forward that we're providing, I suppose, the education towards those skills to make it less difficult and we can bypass that recruitment agency and hopefully address a skill shortage at the same time?
Ms Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your question. So the city does engage with a lot of other local governments and through the WA Local Government Association to look at areas where there is skills shortages amongst the sector and working with Walga and other local governments to look at how we can address that. We also work with universities to look at how we can encourage more students to go into the fields where there is currently those skills shortages.
I'll just add on that. Joondalup was always designed not just as a CBD of the Northern Corridor, but also very much with education as a key pillar of what we do as a community. And so that's why the city engages with, in particular, North Metropolitan TAFE and Edith Cowan University, both of whom sit on our local economic development initiative and are key stakeholders for this city, as well as a range of other training providers such as Police Academy and others that sit in the city. So very skills development, not just for Joondalup, but for the broader state's a focus of Joondalup. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bettina Gould.
Thank you. Bettina Gould, 12 Shoalwater Parkway, Iluka. I'm just seeking some clarity regarding relevance, approval and expertise. It's actually regarding councillors' attendance at interstate conferences, and I see that there was a written question that came in, and one of the answers that the city gave was that elected members' entitlements council policy provides that elected members are encouraged to attend conferences relating to the business of the city and to enable them to be more informed and better able to fulfil their duties. So how is it then relevant for a member of this City of Joondalup Council to attend a Developing Northern Australia conference in Cairns and the Australasian Coasts and Ports Conference in Adelaide? So when we have a coastal engineer on staff, a Charmat group...
Thank you, Ms Gould. I think I will take that question on notice. Yeah, I'll take that question on notice and review the reports from those two attendances, or ask the city to and respond accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you. So regarding reports, that was another question that I see that came in. You know, for the benefit of all of the councillors, and so that there's not this perception of these kind of trips being seen as perhaps a junket, wouldn't it be advisable...
Ms Gould, you attend many council meetings. I ask you to withdraw that inference.
Okay, so I'm...
No, Ms Gould, you attend many council meetings. I ask you to withdraw that inference. It pretty clearly breaches the rules of the meeting and the question. You'll be permitted to ask a question. You are not permitted to use that question as a way to cast adverse reflections on the actions of elected members.
Oh, okay. So let me rephrase it then.
No, I will ask you... No, Ms Gould, Ms Gould, last chance. I've asked you to withdraw that assertion and ask your question succinctly.
If there was an
Ms Gould, I've asked you to withdraw that comment about perceptions. Please.
Okay, I withdraw any comment about
Thank you. Please continue asking your question. Thank you.
Thank you. My second question is, following attendance at interstate conference, how does the city ensure that outcomes are communicated back to the residents to demonstrate community benefits when the reports are not available to the public?
It is the requirement that the report is to the council. There are a number of different ways that elected members can do that report, and they are done. Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Mr Graham Stickland.
Graham Stickland, 55 Atwick Way, Craigie, Chairman of the Whitfords Ratepayers and Rec Association. Just a question, just interested in how much money has been raised from introducing charges for all young people's sporting and community activities that use the parks lighting, facilities and storage.
So I take it from your question you're asking versus the previous system. So Director Humphrey.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I have to take the question on notice to provide the exact number, but as at 30th of June, the city was down about $450,000 on revenue from hire of facilities on the previous year.
Okay.
Mr Stickland?
Yep. Second question, what's the city's percentage of revenue that is spent on the delivery of programs for young people?
Do you mean specifically for you?
Just the percentage, I guess.
Well, it's difficult, Mr Stickland, because, I mean, there are programs which are spent on the general communities, some of which benefit young people more than others, or some which are specifically for young people, such as funding of our youth services team, or capital funding such as Duncraig Adventure Hub, $8.5 million, or sporting ovals, which predominantly would be used by junior or younger sport, but can also be used by masters sport. So I don't think it's a simple line figure. We can certainly take on notice and provide the funding that we give to youth services, but with the exception of those associations or facilities which are set aside for seniors, such as Whitford Seniors, for example, almost all of our facilities and parks are available for and used by youth. So it's not a standalone item.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Judd, Mr. Neil Judd.
Good afternoon. My name is Neil Judd of 63 Windermere Circle in Joondalup. I have two questions and they relate to a recent petition that's been submitted to the council. Can the council review the classification of Windermere Park to make it a dog off-lead exercising area consistent with all other similar parks in the Joondalup City Council area?
We can, and I note that the item is before us, so we'll come to council, but I'll invite Director Klassen for a response to the question. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. The city is currently developing a dog management plan, and as part of that plan has undertaken community consultation, which was reported back to elected members in early July. The feedback from the community will be taken then to consider any changes in the classification of dog users on different classification of parks, and we can assess Windermere as part of that process.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, while any review is taking place and the council's dog management plan is being enacted, could there be a trial of dogs being allowed to exercise off-lead at Windermere Park?
Director Klassen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I think in terms of any assessment and changes to access to dogs on various parks, our sporting ovals, the most of the complaints we're actually getting is from residents not picking up after their dogs, so that will need to be considered. And the holistic review and consideration of that will form part of this overall review. As such, I think it would be premature to undertake any changes now prior to the assessment of all those aspects.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Are there any other questions? If not, so council, I will seek a final extension to question time. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. By show of hands, those in favour? Against? Declare that carried unanimously. Thank you. And I just saw the two in the back, including a student. Very keen to hear from. Please come forward and ask a question. Just a reminder to put phones on silent, please.
Hello, my name is Caitlin from Belridge Education Support Centre. What is the Joondalup Council doing to make schools safer for kids walking? Because at my school, some of the kids are not I think some of them are not looking where they're going and running across the road. So I think there is something to do something about it to make kids more safe on roads.
Thank you for the question, and we have, hold on a sec. It's a little bit trickier with your school because the road that your school sits on, while it was the council's road up until a couple of years ago, is now a main roads road, being Ocean Reef Road. But you'll have noticed that we have the extended 40km/h zone, which runs along the entire side of Belridge Secondary College. And there's also extensive footpath works happening through that area now. I don't know, Director Klassen, if you have anything to add in terms of pedestrian safety works beyond the expansion of the 40-kilometre-an-hour school zones, which are quite extensive in the city now. Director Klassen.
Through Mr. Mayor, not specific to Belridge, more just a general comment what the city is doing. So we do assist schools. Obviously, warden crossings are provided by the WA Police Children's Crossing Unit. We assist schools in the application. We also assist schools in applying to extend the 40-kilometre-per-hour zones around the schools. Additionally to that, we look at our footpath network and undertake an assessment and a prioritisation and prioritise those paths that actually provide linkages to school above other paths to ensure there is safe space for kids to walk on the side of the road and not on the road itself. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And my second question is, it's not necessarily a question, but it's more of a solution if you as the mayor would allow it.
Why don't you ask, would the city consider that we do your suggestion?
I was just thinking maybe we should have zebra crossings and also traffic wardens near my school, if that would be possible.
Thank you for that question. We will consider that, not just for Belridge, but for other schools as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Oh,
sorry, did somebody else up the back have their hand up, or were you seeking the call for? Please come forward and ask your question in the back row. No, that's fine. There was one other over here. Please, yourself.
Hi, my name is Eliana Shattock, representing St Mark's, and I'm curious about what the city is doing to address and support people experiencing homelessness, especially in coastal car parks using those facilities.
Thank you. Good question. Director Lee.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your question. The city has both a strategic position statement and a regional homelessness plan that we have in collaboration with the City of Wanneroo in terms of guiding how we respond to homelessness. The key ways we do respond is through facilitating, coordinating and advocating for resourcing, particularly from the state government and organisations to provide direct service provision for people experiencing homelessness. That said, when we do receive reports of people experiencing homelessness, we do take a balanced and compassionate approach. We will engage with the individual. We will put them in contact with the local service providers that work in this area to provide them with the support and the wraparound services that they might need. So it is a bit of a balancing act. As I said, we do advocate strongly for more funding and more resourcing to be spent in our region, and we work closely with the City of Wanneroo to address it as a broader issue between the local governments. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. And one more question. Oh, I've got a couple. I'll get both of you. I'll have time. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Alex McGivern from Woodvale Secondary College. I've been attending schools within the city of Joondalup for 11 years now, or 13 years, I guess. And recently I've noticed a surge of violence within Joondalup, specifically within the mall, such as a few weeks ago when there was a news headline of a man who was busy robbing a store, and then there was flare guns as well. I've been a witness to many different fights happening at Joondalup recently. What is the city doing to help to lower the number of violence and hopefully casualties?
Thank you. I'll first of all just state that the immediate response has to be police. We don't have the powers that police do to respond to criminal behaviour when it occurs. We have low-level enforcement, but criminal behaviour must should be reported to WA Police and must be responded to by WA Police. However, the city does have an important role to play, both in surveillance generally and assisting the police, but also in designing the type of community which creates an environment where it's less and less likely, hopefully, where such things would happen. That includes designing out crime initiatives and good passive surveillance, as well as activation in a way that it brings in people from all walks of life, because we often find that incidents like that don't usually tend to occur where areas are activated and have people of all ages recreating. So activation is very important, activation in the right way. Director Lee, did you have anything on your portfolio?
Thank you, Mr Mayor, through you. Perhaps just to add to what you said, we work closely with the police, as the Mayor said, in terms of providing them support through our CCTV network, and we also join them on joint patrols through our city centre as well, where we can collaborate with the police, identify issues that are within their remit and they're responsible for, but then also identify issues that are ones that we can respond to as well. So it's a bit of a shared responsibility, but as the Mayor said, any criminal behaviour is a police matter to respond to.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yourself, yes, please.
Hello, my name is Lydia Martin from Ocean Reef High School, and I was wondering what the council is trying to plan to do to stop the distribution of vapes and other e-cigarettes towards students, as I know, at least at my school, and I'm sure a lot of other schools, there are quite a lot of students vaping.
Director Lee.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Again, it's a bit of a shared responsibility that we have as a local government, but also the schools themselves. So if the sort of activity or behaviour is occurring on school grounds, it's something that we would certainly encourage the schools themselves to be chiefly responsible for. But having said that, through the youth programming that we provide, as well as sharing the information that is produced by, say, the state government, for example, we hope to equip schools as well as youths that participate in our youth programming of the dangers and issues surrounding things like vapes and cigarettes, so they can become educated and understand what risks they may be taking if they are choosing to vape or smoke. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes public question time. We now proceed to public statement time. There's a set of procedures which relates to public statement time, and I request that you follow my direction at all times. You're able to make a statement for up to 2 minutes. The statement should be directed to the chair and be polite and respectful. No question or discussion will occur at the end of your statement, and please state your name and address for the public record, or in the case of our students, the name and school for the public record if you wish to make a statement. As is our practice, we've maintained a register, and I'll commence there. However, I will have an opportunity to open it up for general statements after I've worked through the register. So I'll start first of all with Ms Mary O'Byrne.
Mary O'Byrne, 123 Glencoe Loop, Kinross. Mr Mayor, Councillors, Mr Norman. Glengarry Shopping Centre redevelopment report to JDAP. The community continues to have serious concerns with Woolworth's development proposal, and city planners haven't objected to the huge scale of this proposal. Some modifications have been recommended, but do nothing overall to lessen the sheer outlandish scale of the development and its negative impact on local residents, their amenity, safety, the noise impacts and light pollution. Woolworths were either totally unaware of the Glengarry Hospital's 10-bed Sandalwood palliative care unit, or more likely couldn't care less about it, and seem happy to reverse their 19-metre long trucks along the side of the hospice block multiple times per week. This new development shows concerning non-compliance with State Planning Policy number 4.2, Activity Centres Policy SPP 4.2, and far exceeds the Council own commercial strategy. Squeezes in a 600 square metre centre on less than half the land identified as appropriate by the commercial strategy. It games the IGA network by offering it a small non-viable 825 square metre store, and which can only be restocked by a lift, compromises the economic viability of surrounding neighbourhood centres. A council planning report can be considered a failure if it fails to enforce or implement effectively the observation of a local planning scheme. If the size of this development is not challenged by the city, then this community will ask the State Minister for Planning, MLA John Carey, to call in this deleterious planning for dispatch to the State Administrative Tribunal for its report and recommendations. And thank you.
Ms O'Byrne. Bettina Gould.
Bettina Gould, Shoalwater Parkway, Iluka. So again, I wish to raise concerns about the relevance of councillor travel to interstate conferences and how it aligns with the city's code of conduct. In the last 2 months, ratepayers' funds have been used for one councillor to attend 2 interstate conferences. As said before, the Developing Northern Australia Conference in Cairns and the Australasian Coasts and Ports Conference in Adelaide, with now that we know there's no access to these reports for the public. The city has already committed $730,000 to the CharMap project with specialist consultants, an in-house coastal engineer and a coastal hazard planning officer in place. These are the professionals with the expertise to interpret and apply the technical information presented at such conferences. According to the organisers, the Coasts and Ports event is aimed at engineers, scientists and planners. Yet the councillor who attended is not even a member of the CharMap Community Reference Group, which already has 5 elected members.
Ms Gould, you're straying very close to Rule 7, which is statements are directed to the presiding member to be made politely in good faith and not framed in such a way as to reflect adversely on a particular elected member.
The city also participates in collaboration forums such as WOLGA, CharMap Forum and the Northern Beaches Alliance, which provide knowledge sharing without costly interstate travel. I therefore respectfully suggest that all future travel requests be brought before a full council for approval so that expenditure can be shown to be justified cost effectively and clearly in the community's best interest. The Code of Conduct requires councillors to use resources responsibly and avoid any action that may damage the city's reputation. Clear reporting and accountability protect councillors themselves from the perception of and ensure the community can see real benefits return to them.
Thank you. Mrs Janet Judd.
Thank you. I'm Janet Judd. I live at 63 Windermere Circle, Joondalup, and I'd like to speak about the current petition that we've got before council about dogs being allowed off lead at Windermere Park. I thank Councillor Glasson for his earlier answers and clarification on the dog management plan, which I haven't seen a draft of, I have to admit, but I'm happy that Windermere Park is going to be considered. So that's the statement has changed slightly to say that Windermere Park is already a shared space with both sporting groups and leisure, residents at leisure and dog owners exercising and socialising their dogs. So what we're hoping is that with this new Dog Management Act, Windermere Park might be used as an example of an excellent shared space, and you've only got to go down there occasionally and have a look at what goes on down there. I agree that responsible dog owners need to be looking after the park as well, which we aim to do. So we just ask that council would consider that they will provide equity and consistency to the North Ward residents as all the other residents of Joondalup City Council have for exercising and socialising their dogs. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs Judd. Are there any other public statements? If not, I declare public statement time closed. Next item of business is apologies and leaves of absence. Councillor Hutton is on a leave of absence, and I have an apology from Councillor Chester, who has a family funeral this afternoon. Next item, before I move on from that, are there any requests for a leave of absence beyond the two that we have before us? Councillor Jones.
Yes, please, Mr Mayor. 3rd of September inclusive until the 8th of September inclusive.
Thank you. Any other requests? If not, I will actually just slightly amend mine. Mine is till the 10th of October inclusive. If we just change that in number 1 to 10 October at number 1. Thank you. Do I have a mover for the motion before us? Moved Deputy Mayor, seconded Councillor Jones. Is there any discussion on this motion? If not, I'll put the motion and ask you to cast your votes on the screens before you. Declare voting closed, and that item is carried. Thank you. Next item of business is confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting of the 22nd of July and the special council meeting on the 14th of August be confirmed as a true and correct record? Moved Councillor O'Neill, seconded Councillor Hamilton Prime. Is there any discussion or questions on the minutes? If not, I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes on the screens before you. Declare that voting... Oh, no, don't. Sorry. Declare that voting closed, and that motion is carried. Thank you. Next item of business is announcements by the presiding member without discussion. I'd like to officially welcome our special guests here with us at today's council meeting. Not just Freeman Norman, who joins me up here, but also that there are 83 local high school students and 18 staff members in the council chamber this afternoon, representing 12 different high schools in the city of Joondalup. The schools represented today are Belridge Secondary College, Belridge Secondary Education Support Centre, Greenwood College, Mater Dei College, North Metropolitan TAFE, Ocean Reef Senior High School, St Mark's Anglican Community School, St Stephen's School, Warwick Senior High School, West Coast Secondary Ed Support Centre, Woodvale Secondary College and Wanneroo Secondary College in their Joondalup campus. Elected members have agreed to hold this meeting of council during the day to give local schools an opportunity to send their students along to see firsthand how a local government authority functions and works. The first invitation to high school students to attend a council meeting was in 2006, and it's been pleasing to see growing interest from young people in our community in the council's affairs, and them taking up the opportunity to learn about issues that affect this local community. Thank you all for your attendance and for your interest in the council and its business. I hope that your interest continues after your experience today. As said earlier as well, at a recent special meeting of council, the city's highest civic honour was awarded to 3 outstanding contributors of our local community, the Honourable Pamela Beggs, the Honourable Cheryl Edwards, AO, and Mr Michael Norman. All 3 have been named Honorary Freemen of the City, joining Brian Cooper, OAM, and William Marwick, OAM, as well as the late Margaret Cockman, OAM, and the late Nick Trandos, OAM. There could be no more deserving recipients of the city's highest honour. They represent the best of service, dedication and community spirit. Joondalup would not be the city it is today without the tireless efforts of Pamela, Mike and Cheryl. Each has played a vital role in the story of this community, and it's our privilege to recognise them as Honorary Freemen of the city. Congratulations to all and to their proud family and friends on this outstanding honour. Finally, we're excited to announce that the immersive outdoor light and sound show, Bloom, will transform Joondalup Central Park into an illuminated wonderland when it makes its WA premiere next month. Running from Friday the 26th of September to Sunday the 26th of October, this spectacular festival of light and colour will feature interactive projections, laser displays and ambient soundscapes. Bloom is the story of a bee that begins a journey across the glowing landscape. As it moves from bloom to bloom, it connects fragmented patches of bushland, spreading life and harmony. Don't miss this immersive experience of light, sound and storytelling as patrons embark on their own magical journey under the stars. Next item of business is item 10, identification of matters for which the meeting may be closed to the public. I do advise that the CEO has withdrawn item 12.4, confidential nomination for Freeman of the City of Joondalup from the council agenda. However, there are 3 items which I propose a procedural motion to move behind closed doors. Before I go to those 3 confidential items, being status of legal action, Project Axiom status update and tender for enterprise business platform. Are there, councillors, any questions on the confidential attachment for the other 2 tenders and the panel of pre-qualified suppliers for Craigie Leisure Centre? If there's no questions likely on the confidential attachment for those and no one's given me any notice, I'll therefore move that Council, in accordance with clause 14.1 of the City's Meeting Procedures Local Law, suspends the operation of clause 4.3, order of business, to enable consideration of the 3 confidential items to be discussed after motions of which previous notice has been given. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Deputy Mayor. I'll just explain briefly for the benefit of everyone in the gallery. When we consider confidential items, we have to ask all of you to leave and we close the doors and we consider these matters in confidence due to the confidential nature of the material that's contained within them. The reason for this procedural motion is to move all of those to the very back of the agenda, so we're not asking you to leave and then reopening the doors and inviting you back in. Council, I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes on the screens before you. Thank you. Declare the voting closed and the item is carried. Next item of business is petitions. We do have 1 petition before us. Mr Deputy Mayor, do you wish to move?
Yes, please, but can I ask questions?
I think better to move first.
Yes,
and then
I'd move the motion as printed. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Seconded, Councillor Hamilton Prime. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. My research indicates that in June 2014, Council made a resolution by an amendment to prohibit dogs at Windermere Park during seasonal scheduled sporting events, and this amendment was based on the concerns of sporting clubs regarding incidents with dogs off-leash. Dogs were to be allowed off-leash when no formalised sport activities were occurring. It was mentioned that this could be a pilot for other parks, including Percy Doyle, and that it could be reviewed in the passing of time to determine its effectiveness. My question is to ask the Director to confirm if this is an accurate summary of the June 2014 Council resolution. Thank you.
Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. I would have to take the question on notice just to clarify. We did receive a question from the public into the background for Windermere Park, and that's something that we're just working through, but would be quite happy to take that on notice and then also work with the Deputy Mayor just to confirm the history that was just relayed then.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I have one more question. I've further established that in September 2014, Council revised the previous resolution to make Windermere Park a place where dogs must be on leash at all times. This alternative position was established because the previous Council resolution could not be applied as intended under the Dog Act 1976. Given the passage of time, has the City reviewed this position to determine its effectiveness? Thank you.
Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Again, I'll take that one on notice and provide a response to elected members. Thank you.
Is there any more comment or questions on this item? Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just have a quick question in relation to other off-leash areas. Is there any in the immediate vicinity of that area that are off-leash areas?
Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. I'll take that question on notice just to make sure I'm providing accurate information for the elected members, but I can provide that information for you.
Thank you. Councillor Ventulo.
Thank you. Through you. Just with off the lead, do we have a template or some kind of visual image which shows like a heat map of all the off-leash locations that we could get access to?
Director.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Yes, happy to look into that and provide that information for elected members as well.
Thank you. Any further questions? If not, I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Thank you. Declare the voting closed, and that is carried. I do have a further declaration of interest from Councillor Raftis for item 14.1, tender for the Enterprise Business Platform project. It's an interest that may affect impartiality, as one of the tenderers is known to Councillor Raftis. Thank you. We now proceed to the reports section of the agenda. As is my practice, I'll work my way around the council chamber and invite elected members to withdraw items. I'll start with Councillor Hill.
Thank you. As presiding member of the Charmouth Community Reference Group, I would like to withdraw item 12.8. And as presiding member of the Major Projects and Finance Committee, I would like to withdraw confidential item 13.4.1. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Could I withdraw 12.6, the minutes of the regional councils, 12.10, the list of payments, and I will withdraw 13.1.6, gambling on city-owned property, and any other of the policy committee reports, although I think Councillor Vinciulo may have an interest in 13.1.1, so I'll yield to him if he wishes to move that.
No worries, I'll clarify that when we get to it as well. Councillor Jones.
No, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Pizzi.
All been withdrawn, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hamilton Prime.
None, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Vinciulo.
None for me. I'm going to see how 13.1 goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 12.2, if I may, 12.3, 12.12, 12.14.
Just a second. Yes?
Yep, 12.14, 13.1.1, and 13.3.1 if the presiding member isn't withdrawing that item. Thank you.
I'll still go to the presiding member, but note that I'll withdraw them. Sorry, 13.1.1, and what was the other one?
So 13.3.1.
Thank you. Councillor Fishwick.
Nothing to withdraw, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. 13.1.5, 13.3.1.
Just a sec. What was the second one?
13.3.1.
13.3.1. Councillor O'Neill just asked for that one to be withdrawn.
Yep. Okay. 14.1 and yep, and a notice of motion. Thanks.
Thank you. For my part, I will withdraw 13.13 just because it's an absolute majority and needs to be voted on separately.
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Deputy Mayor.
Could I just check? Item 12.13 is also absolute majority.
Didn't I say 12.13? What did I just say?
I thought you said a different number, so just checking.
Oh, sorry, yeah, no, 12.13 was the one I'm withdrawing. Yep. We'll go then to 12.2, Investment Attraction Framework. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you. I'd like to move the item as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? I'm happy to second. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, just happy with what's been going on now that I've had a chance to look through it. I do have a few concerns about it moving forward, just in relation to the ability for adjustments to be made from time to time. I trust that the city will obviously revisit this at some point for any tweaks or minor adaptations that may be required. However, after looking at it in depth with all the information that was provided from the city, I think this is something that we could probably move forward with a little bit of confidence. So.
Thank you. I'll reserve my right. Any comments? If not, I'll put that... Oh, Councillor Hamilton Prime.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Only that I completely endorse the report, and I believe it's an important step forward for the city to attract future industries, new industries, and innovation, technology, and really lean into the Joondalup Innovation Precinct we have, providing jobs for the people we see in the gallery today, which is very important to grow our city, and it's a very important step forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor O'Neill, do you wish to close? I'll put that motion and ask you all to cast your votes. Thank you. Declare the voting closed and the item is carried. Item 12.3 is confidential. We'll consider that later. Item 12.6, minutes of Regional Council. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Could I just withdraw the item as written? Sorry, move the item as written.
Moved as written. Do I have a seconder for that? Seconded, Councillor Raftis. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. I just have a question about the motion which was moved by the two City of Joondalup members on page 141 of the attachments, and it talks about applying scenario 2 to the waste to energy for the draft 2025-26 budget for the MRC, and it says that the rationale was to include the waste to energy from January 1st, 2026 to allow sufficient time for required approvals from all 7 member councils. For this motion which is being moved, is that assuming that waste to energy is going to commence from January 2026?
Director Classen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there were 2 options available for elected members. One for the waste to energy contract to commence, and I think the date was under scenario 1, 1st of September or 1st of October, and the second option was scenario 2, to push it out as late as possible to allow member councils to make a decision. It does not mean that there is currently full support for that. However, the City of Joondalup councillors at the time felt with some of the other councillors that pushing it out as late as possible will actually give us the indication if that will commence, and if that commences, it's not going to be before 1st of January. Currently, the MRC does not have approval to commence with that as is, so it has to wait until after the caretaker period for most local government as well.
Councillor.
Thank you. And then a further question. Has there been any assessment of the changes in tonnages going into the tip? If from January 2026, the assumption now is going to be in the budget documents that there will be diversion into waste to energy, has there been any discussion at this point about the tonnage of that diversion?
Director.
Through Mr. Mayor, the proposal from the MRC for the waste to energy, noting that that decision was deferred by the City of Joondalup Council, is an assumption of approximately 50% of the tonnages will go to waste to energy, and the remainder will go to the Mala Park landfill. As I said, that will form part of the final decision, if supported by all 7 member councils, on what will go to the waste to energy facility and whatnot.
Councillor.
Thank you. And then following on, assuming that those terms are supported, I know there's not a council position on that half the tonnage would then be diverted from the landfill. Is this decision then assuming then a later closure of the tip? Given now if there's less tonnages, there's less, the time it's going to take for the tip to fill to finish the capping is going to increase.
Director.
Just for you to clarify, Mr. Mayor, the decision of the MRC Council that was the alternate moved by and then carried by the MRC councillors was to push out waste to energy as late as possible before that decision is made. There is currently no decision of the MRC Council to finalise that tender, as they need the approval of the 7 member council. So it's sort of impossible to say that this decision will reduce the tonnages. This decision just pushed out the potential implementation as late as possible. The final decision, if tonnages will reduce and will take up the waste to energy facility, is dependent on the support from the 7 member councils. Hopefully I'll clarify that.
That's right. Thank you.
Further comments or questions? If not, I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and the item is carried. Item 12.8, Coastal Hazard Risk Management and Adaptation Plan, CRG, or Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to move the recommendation as printed.
Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Vinciulo. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. As presiding member of the Charmup Community Reference Group, I would like to commend the community representatives and also the elected members for their collaborative and informative contributions to this process. It is clear that we have strong community representatives that bring to the table a wealth of relevant knowledge. The draft CharMap Community and Stakeholder Engagement Strategy is the product of work done by the Community Reference Group and the Technical Steering Group. The document incorporates feedback provided from the Community Reference Group. I would also like to commend the work done by city officers in working together with the Community Reference Group, both during the meetings and in compiling this document. The intent of this strategy is to ensure that the community and stakeholders are well informed throughout the development of the CharMap. This will ensure that the city appropriately delivers a clear and accurate narrative throughout the process, and that the community and stakeholders have the opportunity to provide their feedback at the appropriate time. I encourage elected members to support the recommendation before us. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vingello.
Thank you. Through you, I'll keep it brief. I'd like to echo the sentiment of the Deputy Mayor. Also would like to commend the community representation that is part of CharMap. The level of talent in the room is exceptional. We have a really great mix of people in there that genuinely care about our community and the direction. And again, echo the sentiment of the Deputy Mayor in relation to the city's engagement and activation with the said community members. It's definitely heading in the right direction. It's an exciting time, and I believe that we are on track when it pertains to the CharMap.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. I just wanted to start by thanking the administration for following through on the motion which I put back in December 2023 to create the CharMap reference group, and then also to go forward with creating this strategy. So I know there's been a lot of friction which initially came out of that, but I think that this is a good process, and we've managed to now find there's been very capable people across the community who have been willing to step up for this process. So I'd like to thank the city for working on that motion. Initially, when we first did the CharMap, the first version of the CharMap, which we've now decided to redo, we didn't have a community engagement strategy. And now by having a strategy, I feel confident that we'll be able to move forward with a plan which is going to match the community's expectations. And I think the comments also from Councillor Ventulo and the Deputy Mayor show that the decision in December 2023 to create the reference group and create the strategy show that this was the right direction. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I have a question, and it is in relation to the CharMap, or the representatives on the CharMap, or the staff involved with the CharMap group. Are we also liaising with our neighbours, Wanneroo and Stirling, so that plans that we may consider are in sync with what they are proposing? And for me, I would have liked to seen the state government take action so that not only each individual council has to submit its CharMap to the state government, but there was an overarching report amalgamating all councils into one, perhaps, strategy for the coast. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. I'm not sure. Did you wish me to pass that to a director?
I would think it would be the Acting Director of Governance, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. I was looking at Director Lee also, because I know that the SPP is also being reviewed, I understand. So I'll go to Ms Macario.
Thank you, through you, Mr Mayor. Thank you for your question. So in regard to liaison with our neighbouring local governments, the city officers are part of the Northern Beaches Alliance Group, which includes the City of Stirling and the City of Wanneroo. So we continue to have conversations with both of those local governments about their plans and what they're doing. As I've mentioned before, we're all at different stages in our CharMap journey, so it is difficult to completely align. But we do make sure that we liaise with our neighbouring local governments to ensure that we are implementing actions that are complementing each other rather than detracting from the objectives of the CharMap. In regard to the state government, we do have representatives from the state government on our technical steering group who are contributing to the CharMap process, and we will continue to advocate to the state government to have a more inclusive process for coastal planning across the state rather than each local government having to do individual CharMap plans.
Thank you. Further comments? Deputy Mayor, do you wish to close?
Yes, I will, thank you. Just in relation to the questions from Councillor Fishwick, I think truly be interested in reading a document by the Government of Western Australia Department of Transport, WA Coastal Erosion Hotspots, Review of Impacts, Management Actions and Funding 2018-19 to 2024-25. This document was attached to a recent desk of the CEO and I found that very interesting. It covers the main hotspots for coastal erosion along the whole of the WA coastline, and within that there are 2 hotspots within the city of Joondalup, being at Pinnera Point and being at the Mac Club. It's definitely an interesting read. I'll leave it there, thank you.
Thank you. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare voting closed and the motion is carried. That brings us to item 12.10, list of payments made for the month of June. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Could I move the item as written?
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? I'm happy to second. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. My questions go to page 444 of the attachments, and it's the civic legal payments. There's 2 payments here, one for advice for misconduct allegations for 4,100 and legal advice for 43,000. Could I just get some clarification on what those are for and do they relate to the same matter?
Mr. CEO.
Thank you for that question, Councillor Kingston, and through you, presiding member. If I may take that question on notice, it does refer to a sensitive matter and I'd like to be accurate in my response.
Thank you. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Just a further question then on page 477. So this is the 2 McGee's property valuations. One is a market rental valuation and the other one's for Ocean Reef Marina. And the Ocean Reef Marina report is valued at $6,000. Could I just get some understanding of what particular consultation that is from McGee's property? Is that a valuation of the rates payable for the projected number of dwellings? Or is this a further report into the civil infrastructure value, which McGee's property previously had done for the city?
Director Humphrey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the work done by McGee's was to look at the rates yield that would be achieved by the city from the development of Ocean Reef Marina. It's been revised as we've become aware of changes in the likely yield of properties.
Councillor.
Thank you. And a follow on that, do we have a number of what the yield is expected?
Director.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're still working that through. I hope to have a report to Council approximately October.
Thank you.
Further questions?
Yes, thank you. And then just to follow up as well, have we had a new valuation of the civil infrastructure at Ocean Reef Marina, given I think the last one was the last McGee's report I think was 2016 and the assets were around 30 million.
Director.
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm not aware of a report outlining any changes to infrastructure values that will be handed over to the city, but I'll take that on notice and provide any details I can to the elected members.
That's all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? If not, I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and that item is carried. Next item of business is 12.12, card transactions for the month of June 2025. Councillor O'Neill.
I'd like to move the item as written, please.
Moved, thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Seconded, Councillor Raftis. Councillor O'Neill.
I don't wish to speak to the item.
Thank you. Further comments? I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and the item is carried. Item 12.13, adopted budget 25-26, budget document corrections. I'll move this motion. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Hamilton Prime. I don't wish to speak to it. It's relatively self-explanatory. But however, it does require an absolute majority. If not for that fact, I probably wouldn't have withdrawn it. But yeah, happy to commend it to the council. Councillor Hamilton Prime. Further comments? Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Given, of course, these are errors which ended in the budget documents, I'm just wondering, what is the city's process for checking reports before they're presented to council?
Ms. Macario.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we do have a process where the reports are all reviewed. In this case, the errors weren't picked up, so that's why the amendment is being put forward. Might ask Director Humphrey if he has anything to add to that.
Director Humphrey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it was a little unfortunate that when the document was converted to a PDF for the final agenda for the budget item, one of the cells from the Excel spreadsheet ceased working, it corrupted, which caused the totals not to be carried through. So it wouldn't have been able to be picked up in the city's normal checks. We have put in place a correction for the next budget process, though, to ensure it doesn't happen again.
Further comments? Just a closing comment from me. I'm not concerned that things like this happen. We are a very large, complex organisation with a very large and complex budget. There will always be minor errors of this sort. The resources it would take to try and ensure that we didn't would take so much checking, double checking, triple checking that I don't think it would be a sensible use of ratepayer funds. I'm actually surprised there are so few, and I think it reflects well on our staff. What concerns me is that when items are noticed, how we respond, and just bring it forward for an amendment, complete transparency, and then learn from the mistake, all of which are happening here. So well done to the team, and happy to commend the motion. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Thank you. Declare the voting closed, and that item is adopted. Item 12.14, tender for mattress collection and processing services. Councillor O'Neill.
I'd like to move the item as written.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Rafter seconded. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick one there that after reading some of the documentation, some of the things that stand out to me, I won't actually be supporting the motion. I hope that other councillors would maybe reconsider this. I believe that keeping the tenders and contracts more in favour of the City of Joondalup being obviously able to renegotiate contracts at earlier stages. So perhaps something in terms of a 2-year plus one option, keeping in line with the CPI, would enable the city to maintain value for money for the ratepayers. In my industry, it's always the way that, if you extend your contract to a longer option, it puts a balance back into the person that you are contracting the attendee. So after looking at it, I can't support this one, but we'll see what happens with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raftis. Further comments? I'll put this motion then and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed, and the motion is carried. Next item of business is 13.1.1, which Councillor O'Neill asked to be withdrawn. And I think Councillor Vinciulo also had an interest in it, but I'll go to Councillor Kingston as Chair of Policy Committee to move. Councillor Kingston?
I'm willing to have Councillor Vinciulo withdraw if he wishes, although if he doesn't want to.
If you're happy to, as long as we're moving the committee recommendation, Councillor Vinciulo?
Yes, I will be.
Thank you. So moved. I have a seconder for that. Seconded, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you. Through you. Firstly, I want to commend the city for the body of work created that clearly outlines this critical step in our public art master plan that was approved by Council in July last year. I fully support the city's recommendation to proceed with the % for art scheme local planning policy. This initiative aligns with the strategic vision outlined in the public art master plan, which aims to foster vibrant and inclusive community throughout the creative use of public art. It's important to recognise that public art has the power to activate spaces, enrich our local identity, and build a sense of pride within our community. By adopting a % for art policy, we are taking a bold step towards making our city more culturally dynamic, in line with the best practices already embraced by neighbouring local governments such as Wanneroo, Stirling and Swan. This local planning will ensure that developers contribute to the innovative, artistic and cultural fabric of the city, ensuring cultural development that reflects the values of our community and enhances our CBD public spaces, and in turn, activate it. The cap on contributions has been thoughtfully removed, ensuring that the policy is flexible and can accommodate the diverse needs of our rapidly growing city. I also want to note that this policy is not an arbitrary measure, but rather a logical extension of the Public Art Master Plan that was approved by Council in July 24. The proposal is designed to complement and strengthen the framework, ensuring that we are not only meeting the artistic aspirations of our community, but also encouraging economic growth by enhancing our city's appeal as a destination for residents and visitors alike. Moreover, I believe this policy provides an equitable solution for developers, offering the option for in-kind contributions through on-site public art or cash in lieu to fund future projects in line with the master plan. This flexibility allows for greater cultural options in how we shape our public spaces, something that is incredibly required for our CBD. If we're serious about activating our CBD, this is imperative. The introduction of this policy will also bring us into alignment with state and national standards, where a large majority of local governments have already adopted similar measures. It will ensure and enable the city to invest in public art in a sustainable way and continue to attract visitors and residents to our vibrant community. In closing, I believe this policy represents a forward-thinking approach that will significantly enhance the city's cultural landscape. I encourage my fellow councillors to support the recommendation to prepare and accept the Percent for Art Scheme local planning policy. I believe it will achieve the community goals laid out in our master plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kingston.
I'm not the seconder, it's Councillor O'Neill.
You seconded.
No, you said in the meeting, Councillor O'Neill is the seconder. That's why it's on the minutes.
I think I actually said Councillor Kingston and I said O'Neill had also withdrawn it. Okay. Councillor O'Neill.
Happy to reserve my right.
Further comments? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to echo Councillor Vinciula's comments, who put it very eloquently. We have a lot of major projects happening, and also our CBD is primed for future development. So I think it's great that we have in place a policy that will ensure that we not only build structures, but we also build public art that goes with it, all designed to help and assist with activation and visitation in our CBD and elsewhere in our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Hamilton Prime.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Only to concur what Councillor Vinciulo said, I think the city would look very differently had we had this in sooner, but you know, hindsight's a beautiful thing and we can only start now to work to make it better in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor O'Neill, a seconder.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We all know that I'm going to have a different view on this. It perplexes me that we're looking to increase the rates of people buying houses by passing on to developers this Percent for Art scheme. It is a fact that people that buy these homes, wherever they may be, are not going to be willingly giving up that extra little bit. It's going to be passed on to the purchaser of these properties by the developer. Don't make the mistake thinking that it's going to be, you know, just coming out of thin air or anything else. It gets passed on to the people that buy these homes. We are in a state now where we are struggling. A lot of people are struggling. Families are struggling. Adding things like this at a time like this is ill-advised as far as I could see. I won't be supporting it. I think that we need to do what we can at this stage to decrease the cost of housing. Developers will put this on to the people that purchase these homes. If you think otherwise, then, you know, that's up to yourself. But the fact is still there. So I encourage you not to support this.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Vinciulo, do you wish to close?
Yes.
Sorry. Yep. Councillor?
Thank you. Yes, I'll just conclude by saying that this in by no way, shape or form impacts the cost of housing. It actually provides an opportunity to stimulate growth economic benefit. And it's a proven fact that no great city is not built with art and culture invested in it. This actually doesn't detract, this doesn't actually do anything on an economic level that's going to detract investment, or it's not going to impact people from being able to afford properties. If anything, it's actually an investment. And last time I checked, when you invest in something, good things happen. So, yeah, no, I totally don't agree or concur with Councillor O'Neill, and I sincerely hope that this council can see if we are serious about a bold, innovative CBD that is actually going to make a mark in this state, these are the things that need to be factored and invested in. So I implore you to get on board.
Thank you. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed, and it is a tie, I think. Let me check that. It is. I'm going to use my casting vote the other way to which I voted. I think if the council proceeds with this, it needs a clear majority, so I'm going to vote it down. Thank you. Next item is 13.1.5, review of the purchasing council property. Councillor Kingston, you have withdrawn.
I withdrew 13.1.6.
I know Councillor Raftis wanted it.
Oh, that's right. I withdraw it as written.
Thank you. It's moved. Do I have a seconder for that? Do I have a seconder for this motion? Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. I won't speak to this long. There was just a small change from the officer's recommendation at the committee level to increase the number of quotations required for the categories which you see on the screen, and I will respond to any comments in reply.
Thank you. Councillor Raftis. Sorry, Councillor O'Neill this time. That one is definitely my mistake. Right? Councillor O'Neill. Further comments? Councillor Pizzi.
I just want to thank the city officers for engaging with council at the policy committee meeting and changing recommendations. I understand the difficulties in getting 2 quotations, so I do appreciate that. And I think this is a good motion now. I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the alternate / amendment for that I'd circulated.
And that just came through early this morning. Just a second.
Need to get this.
Can I just get some advice on whether that's an amendment or an alternate from the governance team? Governance team says that's fine. Councillor Raftis, so moved. Do I have a seconder? Seconded Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Obviously on this policy, we've had a discussion where we had some changes from the policy committee which came through to the council a couple of months back, and then it was referred back. I understand there were some issues raised around some of those changes that had come through from the policy around the purchasing limitations. Understand the committee reviewed those, and obviously they haven't come through in this, but this is just an amendment to accept that there is a requirement for some of those exemptions to be utilised by the administration in purchasing, and this just requests that when those exemptions are utilised, that a report comes through to the Audit and Risk Committee advising of what those purchases were. So it's just to keep the council informed on how the purchasing policy is being utilised in terms of the exemptions under the Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill, the seconder.
I don't wish to speak to this.
Thank you. Further discussion on the amendment? Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. I'm very supportive of the amendments. The intention of this, when the purchasing policy previously came to the committee, there was a desire to try and tighten up on these exemptions under the Functions General's regulations, where the local government does not need to tender for items over 250,000. Usually a tendering is sort of an accountability process to ensure that you are receiving value for money. So when there is an exemption to that process which is exercised under the Act, I think it's very appropriate to have that then reported to the committee. So the previous changes were not necessarily workable, but I don't think this creates a burden for the administration at all. Some of these exemptions are already reported to the Audit and Risk Committee. This just ensures that when any of those exemptions are used, it goes to the Audit and Risk Committee. Currently, if there's a contract extension using some of these provisions, that those are reported to the Audit and Risk Committee currently, so this just increases those. So if the exemptions aren't used, there's nothing to report. I think it's important there's clear oversight for especially purchases over 250,000.
Thank you. Further comments? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thanks through you, Mr. Mayor. So it's 2 weeks since the briefing session. I have an email before me that arrived 15 minutes before this meeting. Can I just check, is that correct timing? We've had 2 weeks since the briefing session and the amendment came in 15 minutes before the meeting. I just want to check if that's correct. Thank you.
Ms. Macario?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Deputy Mayor, if you could please just repeat the question.
So the briefing session was 2 weeks ago, and I received an email 15 minutes before this meeting from Councillor Raftis with this amendment. I just want to check if that is correct timing, that we have 2 weeks and we get the amendment 15 minutes before the meeting. I'm just trying to verify if that is accurate. Thank you.
Ms. Macario?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Elected members are able to move amendments at any time, so there was notice given to this one, but it is possible that they are also moved from the floor.
Yes, thank you. So just verifying that, so I'm not sure whether all elected members have had a chance to study this, but I think for good order, as I've done on many occasions, I think it'd be worthwhile just asking the city officers to confirm that they're supportive of this amendment, and if possible, please could the officers read out the officers' comment in full so that everybody's aware. Thank you.
Ms. Macario? I can read it if you wish, Deputy Mayor. The officer
I think just a key point is just to confirm that they're supportive, because the wording, I believe it is, but it would just be nice to hear that for sure. Thank you.
Yep. No, so the City prepares a report on a quarterly basis for the Audit and Risk Committee that details contract extension. This report can be augmented to capture the exemptions listed under those two regulations. That information will be contained within the report and will increase oversight. It infers it's supported, Ms. Macario. Mr. CEO.
Yes, thank you, Presiding Member. In answer to your question, I confirm that the officer's comment indicates support for the amendment.
Thank you. I will just comment that I think it's important for elected members and also the general public to know what we're voting on and to know what the officer's comment is that we're all seeing prior to voting. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments on the amendment? Councillor Hamilton Prime, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too share some similar concerns at last-minute items before council. I hadn't seen the actual email myself before sitting down today, so it's obviously one thing to think about, but in terms of the precedents, if I could just ask a question, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor.
Is there similar, I guess, or how similar it is to other local governments in terms of the threshold and what this particular amendment's calling for?
Correct, Humphrey.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in my experience, it's actually quite common for these types of reports to be prepared for audit and risk committees where the exemptions are exercised under 11.2 in particular.
Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Based on that information, I'm happy to support it, but I think it would be helpful for councillors and from my perspective to actually have this information well ahead of time so we can be fully informed before making decisions rather than on the fly. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Raptis, do you wish to close?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the administration following up and the support on having this additional information provided through to the Audit and Risk Committee going forward, and ask that fellow elected members support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put that a motion on the amendment and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and the amendment is carried. We're now debating the original motion as amended. Any further comments, councillors? If not, I'll put that motion, give the mover the opportunity to reply first. Councillor, do you wish to reply? Councillor Kingston is mover from memory. Nope. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and the motion is carried. Item 13.1.6, gambling on city-owned or managed property. Council policy. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Could I move the item as written?
So moved. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. I would just first like to thank the other council members for when it was back in 2023 and then 2024 to proceed with this policy and to have a clear status, a clear position that there shouldn't be any organised gambling on city properties. So that does not exclude people from having bingos and senior citizens nights and small sort of social gambling and things like that. But this is about having a clear position that wagering and the installation of things like club TABs are inappropriate on city facilities. A couple of years ago now, we did receive a application from one of the city's tenants to install one in a community venue. And through that process, this is how this report has come about in this policy. So I'm very thankful that the council has had a very strong position. This is something we shouldn't have, and that the administration has also supported it as well. When I was in Canberra recently, you can see the effect of gambling on community venues and facilities where things like the Hellenic Club has hundreds of pokies in there. In WA, we're not allowed pokies. But as soon as you start having gambling supporting directly community clubs, it's very, very hard to get out. Each one of those pokie machines over there makes, for the Hellenic Club, over $50,000 a year. Of course, club TABs are slightly different in WA. Well, they are a different sort of beast, but I think it's important that we have a clear position that that gambling should not be being used to fund these facilities directly in this way. Of course, Lottery West does provide grants to the city and grants to community groups, but it just should that gambling shouldn't be a way of raising money for community groups. And especially the proposals we've had have always also related to licensed venues as well, where a combination of both the gambling and the alcohol was the way in which the club would sort the TAB, thought that those two entertainment factors together were going to be then used to increase their club's revenue. So I think it's very important that we have a hard line on this, and I think the policy strikes the right balance.
Further comments? Sorry, I should go to Councillor O'Neill first. Then... No, I'm going to you, Councillor O'Neill. No, I just said, and then Councillor Pizzi. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Happy to see that this has finally come through. The city's taken a position on it, and now it is known that gambling within the city, obviously, for the chook raffle and that, is one thing, but when you obviously throwing pokies into the mix and things like that, it's a totally different thing. I commend Councillor Kingston on his statements, and just happy to see this moving forward and hope everyone can get behind that.
Further comments? Councillor Pizzi.
Can I ask a question, if I may? I think this is a great policy and support it in how it's set up, but I have concerns over some of the wording of it, that fundraising activities are not defined, and that I think that's important to ensure that maybe profiteering organisations may squeeze in and try to rationalise them as being fundraising activities if it's not defined in the policy?
Director Klassen.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the policy specifically referred to wagering and gaming. Gaming activities are defined, and when we developed the policy, that was felt adequate to address the concerns you may have, Councillor Pizzi. So we trust that that covers that position, that it's only gaming, not wagering, and we'll manage it accordingly.
Councillor?
I'll be supporting the policy as it is because I think overall it's a great policy, but possibly it may need to be re-looked at in future to close up any grey areas or gaps, to maybe include a definition for fundraising activities so that there's no grey area.
Thank you. Councillor Fishwick.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The genesis for this report commenced with a sporting club wanting to establish a pub tab on its premises, which was council leased premises. And it was instigated, I believe, by the manager of that club. But however, when it went to a general meeting of its members, it was not supported. And therefore, I believe that was the right decision. And I commend this report of the policy to council. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments on this motion? Councillor Kingston, do you wish to close?
Yes, I just would like to say first thank you for everyone's support on this, and I've spoken to a number of you about this. But to deal with Councillor Pizzi's concern about the term fundraising, the policy itself is prohibiting wagering. And it says in point 1 on dealing with application, it says that groups and individuals may undertake fundraising activities that do not involve gambling on city-owned. So I think the important thing is to say what we're not prohibiting rather than trying to get definitions of what fundraising is. So we need to always say what we don't want to happen. So I think the policy does not have any particular concerns as to relating to fundraising, because the policy itself is well written and it uses the legislation that is straight out of the relevant wagering and gambling legislation. So I think it strikes a clear balance and it's very clear to understand. So, and once again, it's not going to affect community groups having small amusement prizes and bingos and senior citizens nights and things like that. This is about making sure we keep out things like club TABs and the more organised forms of gambling that are in themselves wagering activities. So, thank you.
Thank you. Put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed, and that one is carried. Council, I'll also withdraw 13.2.1, mostly because of declaration from Director Humphrey. And recollection, directors don't need to leave the room because they're not voting members. So I'll move this as recommended. Seconded, Deputy Mayor. I don't wish to discuss it. Deputy Mayor, any discussion? I'll put this motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting. No, I don't. Declare the voting closed, and that item is carried. Thank you. 13.3.1, internal audit function. Councillor Kingston's withdrawn, but I think it's O'Neill who, did you chair that one? Yeah, Councillor O'Neill.
Yeah. Thank you. I'd like to remove the item as written. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor Aptis. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to as well ask if we can vote separately on the items, as I did ask before, I believe. I won't speak really to the item. I do believe that the option for the auditor to be able to come straight to the committee should be there. However, I assume all the councillors have read the paperwork and relevant information in relation to it. There has been some discussion around it. I will leave it to everyone make their own decision on this one.
Thank you. I'm happy to move them as three separate items when we vote. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A couple of questions, if I may, first. Through yourself, with the potential changes in the introduction of independent chair for this committee, how does that impact the potential in the future of having the manager of audit, internal audit, being able to report directly to the independent chairperson, who obviously is not an elected member now?
Not sure whether to go to governance or Director Humphrey on that one. Director Humphrey.
Through you, Mr Mayor, it is actually a particularly interesting question. I would need to go and check the Act to see if committee members would be considered elected members for the purposes of the Code of Conduct. My recollection is that they would be considered elected members for that purpose, or any committee member would be bound by the same provisions as other elected members. But I'd have to take the question on notice to provide an exact answer.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think a more fulsome answer is what we're going to need there. Councillor Raftis.
I suppose on that matter, there's a whole range of changes coming through, and how that structure will be, and how many independent members we'll have on this committee going forward. It's probably not the best timing to be locking in some of these decisions from my point of view, so if we're voting on separately, I don't think necessarily reaffirming the decision on one without knowing how things are going to be structured with independent members. I'd want to hold that one and revisit it when we come to post-elections and the proclamation of the government reforms. So I think we need to hold off on this and hopefully aim to have the review done as soon as the reforms are finalised, so we're able to deal with it with what is required and what's possible under the new committee structure. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor O'Neill, do you wish to close? I'll put that motion, I'll put number 1 and ask you to cast your votes on number 1. Just to confirm, that's up on the screen, and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed, and that is carried. We go to number 2, and I ask you to cast your vote. Declare the voting closed, and that is carried. And we go to number 3, and I ask you to cast your vote. Declare voting closed, and that is also carried. Thank you. Council, that appears to me to be all of the items that were withdrawn, other than the confidential items, which will be considered after motions in which previous notice has been given. That being the case, we are looking at an exception resolution that, pursuant to clause 483, Meeting Procedures Local Law, adoption by exception resolution, that Council adopts the following items, being 12.1, 12.5, 12.7, 12.9, 12.11, 12.15, 12.16, 12.17, 13.1.2, 13.1.3, 13.1.4, 13.1.7, The mover, moved Councillor Jones, seconded Councillor O'Neill. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed, and those items are carried. That brings us, therefore, to motions of which previous notice has been given, and we have notice of motion number 1. Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the notice of motion as contained on page 4 of the addendum to the notice paper. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to second. Councillor Fishwick.
I will speak to the item, but I believe before I do, I'd like to reserve my right, and I believe there's an amendment, Mr Mayor.
Could I move that amendment, please? Is that
If so,
I'm happy for Councillor Pizzey to move an alternate or amendment that we may consider as the mover and seconder.
yes, I think the mover but does need to open debate, and then I'll...
Okay.
Yep. Councillor Fishwick.
In relation to my notice of motion that I submitted on the 18th of August, I note that the officer's report states that in very recent discussions held the day after, on the 19th of August with Western Power, revealed that they will not prioritise in our district for about 10 years in accordance with its new targeted underground power program, which I guess is a long way to wait down the future. But that's precisely why now it's a time for us as a council to put in place the groundwork so that when the opportunity does come, our city and more importantly our affected residents are ready to act. The single greatest barrier to underground power is not the lack of community support. Residents want it, and the benefits are obvious, being safer, more reliable electricity, better protection for our street trees, improved amenity, and increased property values. The barrier has always been affordability. At $5,000 to $6,000 per property under Western Power's subsidised schemes, or much more under the retrospective schemes, many households simply cannot afford to pay up front, especially in today's cost of living environment. That's why a functioning or a financing model is critical, and the good news is that the Local Government Act already gives us the tools, as costs can be recovered through a charge on the property paid in instalments or deferred until sale. Pensioners and concession card holders can defer their contributions just as they do with their rates. The city could borrow at Treasury Corporation rates, far cheaper than commercial loans, spreading repayments over the time and making contributions manageable for households. And residents who can and wish to pay up front can still do so. The motion is about creating fairness and removing the future affordability barrier. If we don't do this, we will reach the point, maybe in 10 years from now, when Western Power is ready and our residents will still be unprepared to meet their share of the cost. Worse still, without a financing solution, those residents who can't afford it, well, if surveyed, vote against underground power due to the upfront cost. And a great opportunity is lost and we will miss out. By developing a financial or financing framework now, we show leadership and we give residents confidence that when the opportunity arises, they won't be excluded. We also give ourselves the flexibility of leveraging other funding streams, whether it be from state grants, land sales, leases, revenues from our properties, or a future city reserve to introduce or to reduce the burden even further. I believe that we have proactive members in our state parliament within our district who I believe would assist the city in progressing our underground power. And I think we all agree that underground power is not a nice to have, it's a generational investment in the livability, resilience and the value of our suburbs. The officer's advice on timing is important, but it's not a reason to do nothing. On the contrary, it's a reason to act now to ensure that when the window opens, we are not scrambling. The motion is not about expenditure today, it's about preparedness. And a report from the CEO will give us the facts, the mechanisms, and the options to make underground power achievable for our community when the opportunity arises. And I urge you to support this motion so that the City of Joondalup is ready, our residents are supported, and we can finally deliver long-term benefits of underground power to the relevant suburbs that require it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fishwick. I'll reserve my right. Councillor Pizzey.
Could I move an amendment as sent to the city earlier, please?
Thank you. So moved. Councillor Fishwick, were you happy to second the amendment?
I am, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Pizzey.
I am generally supportive of Councillor Fishwick's notice of motion, and I thank him for moving it originally. I think, however, it would be good to not narrow this report to certain areas, but to include the City of Joondalup as a whole, so that the areas of greatest need and best outcome for the city are all considered equally. And I encourage other councillors to support this.
Thank you. Councillor Fishwick.
Am I speaking to the amendment, Mr Mayor? Thank you. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Pizzey for the amendment which we had discussed, and I fully support it, as my prime focus is to have a financial model in place to make underground power affordable for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments on the amendment? Councillor Hamilton-Prime.
Just that I'm very, very supportive. I think underground power is a huge thing to improve many around our local residential streets, and more importantly, it's an important safety amenity feature as well, especially if you look at a lot of incidences with cars crashing into poles and things like that. Obviously that alleviates that concern and makes things a lot safer, so I'm fully supportive of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments on the amendment? Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you. Through you. I'm very supportive of Councillor Pizzey's amendment, because prior to that, for me, it was a no-show. We've got Hillary, Sorrento, Cullaroo, Mullaloo. I could go on with a list of blackout locations. So, quite frankly, the amendment is what's getting me to reconsider my position.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thanks. Noting this amendment is very different to the original notice of motion. Could I therefore ask if there is an officer's comment in response to this amendment? Thank you.
Thank you. Director Klassen.
Through you, and thank you, Mr Mayor. Our understanding of the original intent was to prepare a report to look at financing options for residents. It's not saying residents will not have to pay their fair share, but what options are available. I think the amendment just clarifies and make that very clear, that that is the intent of the notice of motion, and as such, as per our comment, a report can be prepared to consider various options for, or develop various options for Council's consideration.
Thank you. In response to that previous notice of motion, my concern was that the inference was that the underground power for certain suburbs would be made more affordable by spreading the cost over all residents of the City of Joondalup, and I accept that this amendment doesn't necessarily imply that. I would just hope that that's not really what's being discussed here, and I heard the comments from Councillor Fishwick about this alternative, and I do have some confidence that the financial models talked about here are not simply spreading the cost over residents that have already had underground power and already paid for it. So I can be supportive of this amendment, and just caution that the financial model needs to be a model that doesn't rely on other residents subsidising residents in certain suburbs. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a few questions, if I may. Firstly, how many properties in the City of Joondalup are still with above ground power?
Director Klassen.
Through Mr Mayor, from memory, around a third of our total properties, around 19,000, approximately a third.
Thank you. And obviously with the modelling to obviously examine financial alleviation for some of the residents that can't pay for those things up front, is there any costs that would be associated with those deferments for the rest of the ratepayers of the city. For example, municipal funds not gaining interest, and other sorts of measures that would impact the other ratepayers of the city.
Director Humphrey.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Responding through you. Ultimately, that would be a decision for the council, but where I've seen this applied previously, the loans and other costs and administrative costs associated with the undergrounding of power are allocated to the individual properties that receive the benefit and would remain as a charge on that property until it's paid back by the property owner or the property settles, at which point the debt would be settled.
So with the deferments and things, obviously the interest that would be lost would be recouped by that by the city directly from that particular property owner. Or am I to understand that correctly?
I mean, it's asking that we explore models. We haven't yet arrived at that point. I don't know that that might be an option that's considered and ruled out very, very fast. But yeah.
No problem. And my final question, being that this amendment now expands it past a limited amount of suburbs, could I possibly get an idea of time frame for the return on this report from the CEO?
Director.
Through Mr Mayor, this report is most probably a report that will develop between the Infrastructure Service Directorate and the Director of Corporate Services regarding the financing part of it. So we'll look at cost, the timing of that. I would suggest that we're looking by the end of this financial year because there's quite a bit of aspects to consider as part of this. We need to get some cost estimates on what that would cost based on the current programs under the targeted undergrounding power program. Based on that, we can actually then start determining what that likely costs are per resident and how that could potentially the options for funding those either through loans, reserves, etc., and how the payback might work on that. So there's quite a few things to consider, so one would hope that by the end of this financial year.
Okay, I understood that there's a bit of work involved in that. Given from the responses from the city, happy to support this, and I think it's a good thing moving forward. We'll see what the report brings back and look at it further from there.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Just a question about this 5,000 to 6,000 in the report. Is that assuming that there's funding from the top? Is the targeted underground power program? How much is it if we go down the route of not having any state government funding, because in 10 years we're not going to? What does that look like per resident?
Director.
Through Mr Mayor, the $5,000 to $6,000 is assuming it is funded under the targeted undergrounding power program. From memory, and I think some of the notes are including that, if we do it as the under the retrospective undergrounding project, which is fully funded by the local government, I think that goes up to about $30,000, would most probably make that totally unaffordable for the residents. As previously we consulted, and the number around $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, if that had to be paid up front, was not supported by residents.
Thank you. Councillor Kingston.
Because it's just the amendment, I'll speak to the primary motion. But as far as the amendment, I don't see it as that materially different. I mean, the southern suburbs are the ones which have the underground power. So, yeah, I guess it's good to have some clarity, but I don't see it as materially different from Councillor Fishwick's original motion. So I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Further comments on the amendment? If not, Councillor Pizzey, do you wish to close?
Yes, please. So I'd just like to thank Councillor Fishwick again for his original motion and being willing to work with me in moving this amendment. It's great when councillors can work together to improve our city, and I'll encourage other council members to support this report. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put the amendment and ask you to cast your votes. Declare voting closed and the amendment is passed. We resume debate on the primary motion. Councillors. Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Look, I'm very supportive of trying to obtain underground power for the city, although I will be supporting this, although to me this motion itself doesn't really make sense. is that if we know that without funding under the TUPS, the Targeted Underground Power Program, we will be then funding it then through the retrospective undergrounding power program, so that'll be 30,000 per resident. I just can't see this council doing that. I just can't see, doesn't matter how we look at the funding models for it, whether we apply a special area rate or whether we try and put in city reserves and manage things a particular way, I just can't see the city putting up $30,000 per resident in that sort of way without getting the funding from state government, this does become quite cost prohibitive. So for me, as I said, I'm willing to support this, but I just can't see in a real way how this is going to actually move forward. It would be good to have a plan, as Councillor Fishwick suggests, have financial options, how we can have financial models attached to them as well. But again, I just find that a bit strange. If we are going to be waiting for the state government to commit to having underground power in the suburbs and the city, and their current prioritisation has us 10 years away, these underground power programs keep changing. There was the SUP, then there was the TUP, and then they kept changing the amount of funding which they were giving the local governments. They had a particular set amount they were giving per dwelling, and then they changed it to then be on socioeconomic basis, so depending on the suburb and the socioeconomic factors at the time they were making an offer, changes then the amount of funding which they then give that suburb. So in 10 years' time, these financial models might be entirely redundant if we're then waiting for the state government to make an offer. So I'm supportive of this because I support underground power, but I'm not really sure in a practical sense where it leads us. And then my mind goes back to page 211 of the attachments today, which has the corporate business plan. And it talks about how we had an item in here for underground power and investigating the potential to convert overhead lines to underground power. And it was an advocacy item to advocate to align with Western Power's timing for underground power. And then the milestone was discontinued. So the council decided to take out that advocacy plan, the development of that advocacy plan for underground power. I didn't vote to take it out, but that's what happened. So given that without the funding through the TUP program, we're going to be 10 to 15 years away, I'm not exactly sure how financial models best serve us unless we say we are going to be passing on large costs on to these residents who live in underground power areas, live in above ground power areas. So that does just raise a bit of a question for me about that. And I think the advocacy is important. I think the key part of this is not developing financial models, it's actually the advocacy. Because if you look at the areas where Joondalup, because Western Power releases a map, and they say which areas are priority areas, which they might consider making an offer soon, and which areas then get put into the 10-year basket. There were suburbs in Joondalup which there was a potential for Western Power to make offers. Mullaloo was one of those, and then we dropped putting together an advocacy plan. So I think the main thing is advocating to Western Power and saying this is the status of our infrastructure, this is the current life of it, these are the problems, and putting the best case forward to say, yes, we should be made a priority to be made an offer rather than putting together financial models. So I think through this report we'll get there, and there will be hopefully the advocacy and working it all through. But yeah, it just doesn't make sense where earlier in the year we take out the advocacy item, now we're putting it back in a different way. Yeah, so I'm very supportive of the motion, but I just find how this is proceeded is confusing. I would have thought, yeah, I just find it confusing why those particular decision points have made. But we are where we are, so I'd encourage everyone to support this. But again, if we're only going to be proceeding if we have state government funding, this is going to be 10 years away. We're writing financial models for 10 years away. If we're not proceeding, as we heard from the director, well, it's $30,000 per resident, which they've then got to come up with. Yes, we can look at different models, whether we put caveats on properties, put on special area rates. Yeah, but it's still very expensive for those individual homes and ratepayers. So I think let's see where it goes. But I'm supportive, so I'd encourage everyone to go forward with this.
Thank you. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Supportive of the motion as it stands. I think having work done on the potential structure of how these may be funded, I'm working on the presumption that we would only be looking to progress with state government funding, so I wouldn't want to see any time wasted really looking at the $30,000 options, because I don't think that would have any support going forward, particularly from the residents. And I think having an agreed structure that's can be communicated with the public and get them on side and supportive of it will put us in a better position to advocate in future years for next rounds of elections. And hopefully we might see ourselves, at least some of our suburbs, elevated up the list from with Western Power. There's too many times to see the social media posts around the blackouts in place. So there's issues across the state, particularly in a good number of our suburbs. We need the underground power brought into action, and it'll certainly help when we're trying to look at our tree planting programs as well, because there's some streets that certainly miss out on good size street trees because the power lines impact those. So it would allow us to increase the canopy along utilising verge trees once underground power is in place across a wider area. So fully supportive. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Vinciulo.
Thank you, through you. I'm of a similar ilk in the fact that advocacy and state pressure needs to become the focus. I concur with that. Where I sit, though, is I'd like some greater clarity. The clarity needs to come from what does 10 to 15 years look like, and when, and more data. It doesn't seem to be specific. It seems to be a bit aloof. I'd like to know what that actually looks like for the residents of the city of Joondalup. In addition, what I would like to also see is comparative data. I want comparative data with other LGAs. What does that look like when it comes to this? Because we don't have that kind of data to be able to articulate greater advocacy and state pressure. In addition to that, what I'd also like to request is the number of residents per suburb with overhead power, and really break it down into suburbs so we can have a suburb analysis. And then go a step further than that and understand the social and demographic data that aligns with that. It's not just as simple as identifying power and the location. Overall, it's about breaking it down into some more demographic and comparative data, and that's what I'd like to see. So I'm looking for clarity, I'm looking for direction, I'm looking for greater advocacy and state pressure. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thanks through you, Mr Mayor. My views on some of this is very similar to Councillor Raftis's, is that I don't really wish the administration to spend a lot of time looking at financial models for implementation of underground power without state government support. I think that's just a lot of money for not a lot of benefit. So I do see a future here only on the basis where residents are assisted with covering their component of the cost when the state government subsidises underground power in the suburb. With that in mind, could I just ask for an estimate of the cost for the city to put together this report? Thank you.
Director Klassen.
Through you, Mr Mayor, we have not considered the time implications for that. I'll most probably have to take that on notice and provide that information. Councillor Eel.
Thank you. I'll just close by saying to elected members, when notices of motion are being presented, it's always worthwhile asking what the cost is going to be, because that's good information for council when making these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Further comments? Just a couple.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I have my hand up.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Hamilton Prime. And I know you do put your hand up. Please also press the button for me wherever possible. Thank you, Councillor Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Similar to the vein of Councillor Vinciulo, I think a big part of this will be advocacy. I think, being only 10 years away really in reality isn't that far away. If you think about, if you take your eye off the ball for a second, you're then in the back of the queue. Is it now then 15 years? So I think having all that information, getting the advocacy model right in terms of, we've got some very engaged, enthusiastic state MPs and a new federal member of Parliament for more. And I think there's never been a better time to advocate for our city, for our community, especially with underground power. When you think about, we've got ageing infrastructure that isn't getting any younger. It's been, systematically replaced, but why couldn't we, if we're there anyway, see what undergrounding could be done? Because if you look at adverse weather events of recent and of late, that's where a lot of the blackouts do happen, and we can stop a lot of those issues. But obviously, the issue of fairness with the more ageing suburbs is important, that we kind of balance that and kind of advocate our the fairness value of also, not forgetting the northern suburbs. It's not just about the inner western city suburbs. It's also about, everywhere in metropolitan Perth that needs to have these sort of things looked at. I'm a big supporter of underground power because of the many positive outcomes that actually happen with it. Particularly, we talk, on previous items we've talked about, benefit, tangible benefit to the residential amenity. This is definitely a huge one of them. I'm very lucky to be in the half of the Hillaries that is actually underground power, and you see the difference from the outages that are always announced from Western Power is literally just across the road, and you feel really sorry for them when your house is well lit up with power, and then you just look across the street and it's all blank, it's all dark, and it's very sad to think of that. If the state government at that point in time, when they were doing the buildings and doing the land, if they just went one bit further, everyone else could have had the underground power too. But, hindsight's a beautiful thing, but I think we need to advocate, engage our state MPs and encourage residents to talk to their local state MPs and tell them how important it is for them as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pizzey.
Will I get to close or should I make comment now?
No, we're debating the primary motion. You've closed on the amendment.
Yep, so
but you can
make comment now.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Having a financial report and creating an understanding of how underground power can be achieved either through advocacy or financially will be good for the city of Joondalup, and to have pushed forward underground power in the city. I'd like to concur with Councillor Pinchillo's suggestions of what he would like to see in the report. I think those were very good suggestions. And if we do nothing, then nothing happens. So I'd like to thank Councillor Fishwick for his original motion.
Thank you. Further comments? Just from me very briefly before I go to Councillor Fishwick. Much of the debate sort of looked at the opportunity or challenges ahead if we support this, and that's appropriate. I just really briefly want to reflect on the advantages of underground power for the city of Joondalup. I've often said in this place our Leafy City program is one which we can take great pride in as a city. What's holding it back for approximately a third of the city is the presence of overhead power. But it's much more than that. It's power reliability, as Councillor Hamilton Prime just mentioned, and it's also the opportunity for better lighting, because remember, areas with overhead power have the oldest form of lighting and are the darkest streets, and there are social benefits that come with that in terms of passive surveillance and lower crime generally. So on every angle, there is a big, clear environmental benefit, there is a clear social benefit, and also there's an economic benefit to our residents, because I've often said the performance of house values in the city of Joondalup is one of the most important measures of success from a point of view of council, and people who have overhead power lines one year and underground power lines the other year generally find that their property values increase, and there's a benefit for the city of Joondalup that flows through to that, to GRV, and certainly, more importantly, to the homeowner from increased equity, which gives them options. Just in terms of, as I've seen this play out, I can remember when I first sat around here in my first term as council, a proposal for underground power in Greenwood. I'm pretty sure we had a proposal for that. We didn't get resident support at the time. The cost under that program wasn't terribly dissimilar to what it would be if a resident was in one of the state programs now, but probably the benefit for housing values, talking here early 2000s, then were not to the same benefit that they would be now if homeowners were to invest in their own power scheme. But it does illustrate that these policies change. They've changed many, many times. That really brings me to comments on the difficulties faced if we go ahead. Absolutely, there'll be challenges, but this is most definitely a fight worth having, and we, City of Joondalup, have to stay in this game. In terms of difficulties, I'm coming close to 20 years since I started here. Everything worthwhile that I've been able to be a part of in this city has had similar difficulties, literally everything. In fact, I'd go so far as to say nothing worth doing in this place is easy at the front end. If it was easy at the front end, it had probably already happened. That's what we're here for, and I can assure each and every one of you, at the end of your time here, the things you will be most proud of is the ones that had those challenges. And what is the difference? Well, first of all, how do you start? You start by doing this. Exactly this motion by Councillor Fishwick. the breadth of it by Councillor Pizzi and very strongly support that amendment as well. And this is an important part of the process, bringing it back onto the agenda, making sure that it is topical, getting the attention of others. It's not just direct advocacy, the weight of which generally sits on the Mayor and CEO, although councillors do play a role, but by using the formal meeting process to keep this on the agenda and get broader and broader buy-in. This is how you start. How do you achieve it? How do you finish? Persistence. Yes, there's challenges. Everything worthwhile that we've done had as many, if not more, challenges. But if you persist in this, if you get buy-in from the community by keeping it on the agenda, continue to raise the benefits, get buy-in from the community, you will achieve it. It's worth achieving, and I strongly support this motion. Councillor Fishwick.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In closing, I'd just like to thank all elected members for their contributions, and everyone I read the chamber as supporting of underground power, which is a fantastic thing for us to move forward with. And I'm not advocating for a 30,000 finance model. We need state government support, obviously, and the motion as amended before you tonight is simple. It asks for a report on how the city can make underground power affordable for residents in our suburbs, which are still burdened with overhead wires. Why? Because underground power is one of the most transformative upgrades we can deliver. It makes our suburbs safer, more reliable, greener and more attractive. It protects our trees and gives us the opportunity to plant more under our Leafy City program. And some of our areas, such as Padbury, are devoid of some of the trees because of overhead power lines. It also reduces blackouts and increases property values. The problem has never been community support. The problem has always been the cost to the community. And at $5,000 to $6,000 per property, or far higher under the respective, which I'm not advocating for, many households simply cannot afford to pay up front. The affordability barrier has stalled projects before, if I recall in Greenwood perhaps, and it still stalls them again unless we act now. We know Western Power will not prioritise our effective suburbs for about 10 years, but that gives us time to look to the future. But we need to do it wisely now. If we do nothing, we'll get to the point and many residents will still be unable to afford their share up front unless we have some sort of a financial model to assist them. That's why financing models under the Local Government Act already give us the tools to do that. This is about preparedness, it's about fairness, and it's about making sure no resident misses out simply because they can't pay up all at once up front. Elected members, underground power is not replacing wires, it's a generational investment in resilience and livability. By asking for a report now, I think we ensure that when the opportunity comes, we're ready to operate. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fishwick. I'll put that motion and ask you to cast your votes. Declare the voting closed and the motion is carried. Notice of motion number 2, Councillor Raftis.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the motion as tabled.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded, Councillor O'Neill. Councillor Raftis.
Thank you. Thank you, elected members. This is about requesting to have these key documents presented to Council prior to 30 November, the 10-year strategic financial plan, the asset management strategy and the workforce plan. These are key documents that feed into our annual budget process and the corporate business plan, which is all about delivering on the strategic community plan. So the annual budget and corporate business plan were signed off in June 25 by the Council. From my point of view, it's having these documents being able to be tabled to allow the Council to fully understand where things sit, how the budget is going to be delivered over the year, understanding the workforce plan that's in place and the structure of that so that it can have a level of comfort in what is actually being put into the budget. So from my point of view, ideally these would come through at least in the future at the same time as the budget, particularly the strategic financial plan, understanding the forecast of and the impact on future years from the budget that is being tabled for approval. Workforce plan is all around the understanding the significant costs that goes into employment for the city, and understanding, being able to see how that is intended to grow over the coming years as well. So the last workforce plan I was able to access was one that has been circulated, goes back a couple of years. I understand the city reviews that every year, but I'd obviously ideally like to see that circulated and noted as it is done each year, to allow council to feel more comfortable in what it's doing. As noted, I've circulated within the notes around these comments from Wolga about how these documents feed into those and are important, and assist in the council delivering on its obligations. So see within 2.7 around overseeing allocation of finances and resources, and I see the workforce plan as a key part of that. The strategic financial plan and asset management all feed into those obligations. And similarly around 5.2 around council ensuring there's an appropriate structure for the administration of the local government. So these all are about us being able to do our jobs better. And I ask you to support this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Happy to see this come through. Thank you to Councillor Raftis for bringing it up. Also, just really quickly, I will keep it quick, that just happy to see that the officer's comment, as far as I can see, is supportive of it, and look forward to seeing this.
Thank you. Further comments? Councillor Hamilton-Prime.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was just hoping to get the commentary from the officers. I can't seem to find it in the particular email I've just got in front of me.
Thank you. Mr CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton-Prime, and through you, presiding member. The officer's comment is in regard to the strategic financial plan, that the city is progressing the draft 10-year strategic financial plan for 2025 with the aim of presenting it for noting at the November Ordinary Council meeting. Similarly, the asset management strategy, which was presented to elected members at a strategy session earlier this year, can be presented to Council for noting the Ordinary Council meeting in November. And again, in terms of the strategic workforce plan, which the city is in the process of updating for the period 2025 to 2030, we anticipate that will be available to present to Council for noting in November.
Councillor.
Thank you. Just a supplementary, Mr Mayor, for me. Please correct me if I'm wrong. So, through you, Mr Mayor, to the CEO, they were being presented at November council meeting anyway, or as part of this notice of motion if it is accepted?
Mr CEO.
Thank you again, Councillor Hamilton-Prime, and through you, presiding member. They can be presented in response to this notice of motion. Not all of those documents, it's my understanding, would have ordinarily been presented, but they all can be.
Further comments? No speakers against. I'll put the motion and ask you to cast your vote. Declare the voting closed and the motion is carried. Next item of business then is announcements. Next item of business is closure of the meeting, although I didn't do urgent business formally, so I will note that there was none. I will propose a procedural motion in the form that you see before me to consider item 12.3, status of legal action report, 13.4.1, status update on Project Axiom, and 14.1, tender for the enterprise business platform behind closed doors, with an extended list of officers attending the confidential status of legal actions report and a more restricted list of officers for the second one. So moved, seconded, Deputy Mayor. By show of hands, those in favour? Against? Thank you. Declare that carried, just with Councillor Kingston against. Freeman Norman, thank you very much. I think this is the first time a Freeman has attended. It was very good to have you here also. So
very interesting to hear the debate.
Good to have you back. Thank you. To our residents in the gallery, I need to ask you to leave now as well. Council resumes the operation of Clause 4.3 of the City of Joondalup's Meeting Procedures Local Law 2013. Order of business, seconded Councillor O'Neill. By show of hands, those in favour? Against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Announcements of notices of motion for the next meeting. Are there any? There being none, before I close, for the benefit of those who have just come back into the room, can you just bring up the relevant motions for me? The council has, in relation to legal reports, noted the status action report for matters that may have a contingent liability and are unresolved for the month of July. In regard to Project Axiom, we have noted the status update, and in regards to the tender, this has been deferred to a special council meeting to be held on next Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m.
6:30.
6:30. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. 6:30 p.m. next Wednesday. That then concludes tonight's council, well, nearly night, this afternoon's council meeting, and I hereby declare the meeting closed at 3:38 p.m. Thank you all.